Welcome in bonus scoop time on a Tuesday, which means it's Judd, it's executive producer Declan Goff, of course, and it is the star of the show, the man of the hour, Darren Doogie Wolfson, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, and also Scoop, a podcast fame. And Darren, let's start you off with this one. Timberwolves reckless speculation, which is absolutely fantastic. I love it. Continues to run rampant. What can you tell us about D'Angelo Russell being tied to potential trade rumors?
Well, I think it's pretty clear. Good morning, by the way, Judd. Good morning, Declan. I think it's pretty clear the Washington Wizards are looking for a point guard upgrade. Their casting of a wide net, though, I'm telling you, Judd, does not include D'Angelo Russell. I have not seen any local steam on this, but I have seen some national steam connecting D'Angelo Russell to the Washington Wizards. I am led to believe very strongly the Washington Wizards have zero interest in D'Angelo Russell. Now, that being said, I still think if Tim Connelly wants to trade D'Angelo Russell in the final year of his contract, that there will be a taker out there. Maybe more so because of the expiring contract, not necessarily because of the player. I just don't sense there's a lot of league-wide interest in D'Angelo Russell. There is in New York. There is one person who is the president of the D'Angelo Russell fan club. His name is Gerson Rosas, and he now has an official title with the New York Knicks. He no longer is a consultant. So the Knicks, who seemingly need a point guard, they've been tied to Tyus Jones, Jalen Brunson. Now, they just added Jalen Brunson's dad to the staff, who was on Tibbs' staff here.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that simple that Jalen Brunson is going to end up in New York. But like that to me would be the team. Like if Jalen Brunson re-signs with Dallas or he ends up in Detroit, okay, maybe. There's also this line of thinking that if Tim Connelly wants to, which is something I'm positive he has explored, is that 1 year from now, July of 2023, if he wants, he can have maximum cap flexibility. Now that doesn't mean going out and signing a huge name free agent. You could do that if you wanted to, but you have all sorts of trade flexibility. So you could do that. You could have Russell as an expiring contract. Heck, last time he was an expiring contract, go back to Brooklyn before he signed with the Golden State Warriors. Remember how well he played. So he enjoyed being in a full-fledged contract year. Now, last media day, Judd, last September, late September, it was lost in the whole Rosas fiasco. But D'Angelo Russell, when he was on stage with us, suggested that this past season was a contract year. That he looked at this last year as a contract year because he is now extension eligible. So that was his way of saying, okay, I'll play well, which he did for about 50 games. Not
Yeah.
quite sure about the last 30. Played well in the play-in game against the Clippers, then had a miserable series against the Grizzlies. But he looked at this year as, okay, I'm earning my money this year. The Wolves are going to give me a stupid amount of money this summer. Well, I just don't see that happening. I certainly didn't see it happening if Sachin Gupta was elevated to president of operations. But I have a hard time believing Tim Connelly, as savvy, as shrewd as he is going to give D'Angelo Russell the money that he is seeking. So if Connelly wants to, you can play this thing out. Malik Beasley has a team option for 23, 24 that you don't need to necessarily exercise. You've got Pat Beverly as an expiring contract. So there is flexibility if Connelly pursues that route. But I want to debunk that chatter that's out there. Again, more so on the national level, not the local level. But the Washington Wizards are not a match for D'Angelo Russell. So if you want to play with the trade machine or concoct any number of scenarios, just stop with the D'Angelo Russell to Washington talk.
All right, sounds good. Now with the addition of the executive that they brought on, that Conley brought on last week from the Magic, what can you tell us, Doogie, about how the front office structure is shaking out and what Gupta's future holds? Because it sounds like there's a feeling that Gupta is still the number two guy, but clearly you don't bring in a guy from the Magic not to play a very important role. So what do we know right now about how things are going to be structured under Tim Conley?
Well, Matt Lloyd is going to play an important role, and he is very close with Tim Connelly, but he was the number 3 in Orlando. So yeah, was he really leaving Orlando to come here to be the number 3? Do you go from being the 3 there to the 3 here? Like, I have a hard time believing that. But by title, technically by title, Lloyd is the number 3. Gupta is the number 2. I had somebody I trust in the NBA who's been right way more often than he's been wrong, Judd. Suggest to me by Summer League, I forget the start of Summer League, what the date is. Is it late July, early August? That by the start of Vegas Summer League, Sachin Gupta will be working for the Houston Rockets. Now, that might be more for Thursday reckless speculation. I can tell you what I know, instead of speculating, what I know. The Wolves clearly want Sachin Gupta here, that his skill set, his analytical mind, some other things he brings to the table are different than the strengths of Tim Connelly and Matt Lloyd. That the three of them certainly could coexist. That Sachin Gupta is incredibly low maintenance, even though I'm positive he is not thrilled with the way everything transpired. He thought he had earned the opportunity to be the number 1 guy here. He wants to be the number 1 somewhere. Is it easier to be the number 1 somewhere in the next couple years by staying here or by going to Houston? That is something that he will need to ask himself. I could make a case that it's staying here, that it's not going to Houston. But I'm just telling you, somebody who I trust, that's why I threw it out here, but I'm framing it around the idea that it would fit better on Thursday, reckless speculation. But he predicts that by midsummer, that Gupta will not be here anymore. But right now, they are coexisting. They've had draft workouts the last few days. Hardy, a G League guard, who's a first-round talent, he was in for a workout on Sunday. E.J. Liddell, who's a first-round talent from Ohio State, he was in yesterday along with some other prospects, including some second-round guys or some undrafted guys. They have another draft workout today, Tuesday, June 7th. I know Brad Davison from Maple Grove High School, Wisconsin Badgers, is among the group working out today. So they're all in the gym, so they're doing their work. But, like the scouting, that's Lloyd. That's Connelly. I'm sure they are picking the brain of Gupta when they're in the boardroom. They're kicking around things. But, like, Lloyd and Connelly come from a scouting background, right? And while Tim Connelly was not in Chicago for the Combine, so I guess he's a little behind, right? Because he was sorting through everything with the Wolves offer. Like, they brought in prospects to Denver before the Combine, so he's done his homework. Denver has the 21st pick, so it's right there in the Wolves neighborhood, where the Wolves picked 19th. So Tim Connelly has been doing his draft homework for a while. Orlando may be a slightly different boat, but Lloyd's been watching these prospects for a while, attended all sorts of college games. Like, it's not like the draft is this new phenomenon for Matt Lloyd. He's been studying these prospects for a while, going back to USA camp, USA games, McDonald's All-American game, other high school events where NBA scouts are allowed. Like, Matt Lloyd has the book on a lot of these prospects going back multiple years. It's not like he just started draft prep 2-3 months ago.
On Gupta, it seems like it would probably make sense just from both sides' standpoint, Doogie, for him to work through the draft and then leave, because I'm sure that the Wolves don't want potential proprietary information to go to a different team, for instance. And also, he probably has some in-depth knowledge of things that the Wolves have been trying to work on for the draft. So this sort of seems like a football thing, which is your scouting staff and main people, if there is change before the draft, they work through it, Doogie, and then depart after that. So I would say that your recklessly speculating source might be exactly right, in the sense that the Wolves probably are trying to hold Gupta to his contract through the draft and then say, good luck if you don't want to stay with us.
Well, in the NBA, contracts, Judd, go from June 30th until July 1st of the following year.
Okay.
So like, you and I and Declan, our contracts, I guess for me, it's the day I signed. Mine goes from January 27th until, 2 years out, late January. But in the NBA, all contracts, specifically for those in the front office, June 30th until July 1st of the following year. June 30th because that is immediately after the draft. But the counter to what you just said is Orlando said, Matt, go ahead. Go to Minnesota now.
Yeah,
But
that is
Orlando
interesting.
said, hey, Matt, like, you don't need to stick around here. Or he had the ability to say, I can exit right now. But that to me is interesting that Lloyd was able to join this close to the draft, pre-draft.
Interesting. It sounds like the folks in Denver are not taking the departure of Connelly well. The Kroenke Jr. comments are intriguing there. Um, what do we know about that? Was that just, and from Connelly's comments in the press conference last week, it seemed like there were some definite veiled shots at Denver's unwillingness potentially to pay. How acrimonious do we think that whole thing is? Probably between Denver and Connelly, but also between Denver and the Timberwolves.
Well, yeah. I mean, Denver going back to losing Masai Ujiri, right? Now losing Tim Connelly, the infrastructure of their front office. Do they have enough staff? Practice facility concerns. Like, there's a lot of things where if you're in the front office of Denver, you're scratching your head. The Wolves did not do anything illegally. Let's make that very, very clear. They played by the rules. Denver, Kroenke, like, what were you doing giving Connelly an option in the final year of his contract? That's on
Yep.
you. That's not on the Wolves. The Wolves were very, very diligent, and many other words, for seeking out Tim specifically, also having interest in some other guys, but knowing that those guys weren't realistic. Like, you weren't getting Sam Presti out of Oklahoma City. You weren't getting Masai out of Toronto. You just weren't. I know some other people tossed out Bob Myers with the Warriors. You were not getting Bob out of San Francisco. But Connelly had this option in his contract. He was sitting there for the taking. So, hey, we could argue after the, 82nd game play-in from a few years ago that Denver and the Wolves, if you want to count the Wolves as having any sort of rival, you could say, okay, it's a nice one there. Jokic and Cat don't like each other, at least on the court. So, there's a little bit of bad blood there, right? So, hey, I guess ramp up the rivalry even more so. But Mark Lowry, Alex Rodriguez, more so Mark, not them following the lead of Glenn Taylor, by the way. This was driven by Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez. If this was just Glenn Taylor, Tim Connelly is not here. Tim Connelly is here because of Mark Lowry and I suppose a little bit Alex Rodriguez, but certainly Mark Lowry. That, hey, they did everything that they could have done. Now, we could debate, is it smart to give any sliver of equity, whatever that sliver is, tied to team value, but to me, team value is going to go up. Look at what the Portland Trailblazers, the offer that Phil Knight and the limited partner from the Dodgers put on the table. $2.1 billion. The Wolves are being sold for 1.55, 1.57 billion. Now, I know there are some arena concerns, but if the Portland Trailblazers could sell, now it's not 100% that the Blazers are going to sell the Allen family, but if they do, 2.1 billion in Portland, like, the Wolves' value is going to go up, 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 especially with the core they have in place. Now, no guarantees that they win another 46 games next year, but you would think minimum they'll be in the play-in. They'll be on national TV more the next couple of years with Anthony Edwards. Like, I think that's a foregone conclusion. The Wolves' value is going to go up. So whatever that sliver of equity is tied to the value of the franchise, that is a golden ticket for Tim Connelly. So we can debate whether that's smart or not for any ownership group to provide that, but it's not unprecedented. It's rare, but it's happened before. So I mean, I guess I can understand, from the Kroenke standpoint, like, what are you doing? And I can tell you, Judd, I brought this up a couple weeks ago. I'll reiterate it now. There are league people saying, Mark, Alex, Glenn, what the heck are you doing? Like, I may have an executive with a contract coming up here in a year or two, and now this executive has all this negotiating power. He's going to point to what Minnesota did. He's going to ask me for some sliver of equity. What the heck did you do, Minnesota? So there is that line of thinking out there, but just know they did everything that they were allowed to do. They did not break any rules. So to me, I side on the side of Mark and Alex for being very, very aggressive.
Hey, when are the Twins going to get Joe Ryan back? He's been on the COVID protocol list for a while now, and he didn't obviously travel to Toronto with 6 tough games starting tonight. Yankees and then Rays through Sunday. When do we expect Joe Ryan to be back?
Well, he's been throwing at Target Field. He's been in town. I'm told he feels fine. He's out of that COVID bubble. He's fine. Like, to me, Judd, I'd love to see him tonight against the Yankees at Target Field. But it's way more likely the Twins have not announced a starting pitcher. Signs point to it being Cole Sands, that it won't be Joe Ryan, that the Twins have legitimately talked about Joe Ryan going on some sort of quick rehab assignment. I don't think he needs a rehab assignment. Those close to him, I sense, don't think he needs a rehab assignment. Get Joe Ryan back in the Twins rotation this week, whether it's this series against New York or this weekend series against Tampa. Joe Ryan should be starting this week at Target Field, not wherever the St. Paul Saints are or down in Cedar Rapids. Joe Ryan should be starting for the Twins. He is ready to go.
I'm sorry. Did you just say, for a point of clarification, that Cole Sands might be the TBD starter for tonight?
Well, yeah, they have not announced a starter for tonight. Just look at it. Who's it going to be? Unless they decide it'll be Joe Ryan. They have not made anything public. I can tell you as of...
Could you start?
I don't have my cell phone here. I left it upstairs. But as of some point last night after Drugie's baseball game, so his game got done.
Drugie starting.
7:45. He's been firing bullets. Although you should have seen that bad baseball last night. Oh
boy, we got problems.
Oh boy.
Here's what happens. School gets done. All right, so Drugie had his last day of school on Friday. All his teammates had their last day of school on Friday. That first day, they were not. Yeah,
okay.
It was weird. That first game, although he actually played in a game with his tournament team on Sunday, and they kicked butt. Actually, against Kevin Seifert's son's team. They played really well. It was a great game. It was a really fun atmosphere.
Check Seifert right now.
Yeah, you'll see him later today at Vikings minicamp. It was fun, though. And thanks to Kevin for... he got the wheels in motion with me, and then I talked to our coach, and Kevin talked to his coach, and it was fantastic here in the West Metro on Sunday night. So that team that Drugie played on had a good game on Sunday, but his other team last night, it was a train wreck, Judd. It just was. I'm telling you, that first game, I had another coach come up to me and say, hey, I think it's because of no school today, that first day out. And I said, you know what, I didn't think about that, but you're spot on. So yeah, just the focus just wasn't there. Error after error after error. It was just it was bad baseball. But yes, it looks like it'll beat Cole Sands. He started one of those games last week of the doubleheader in Detroit. Who else would it be? I mean, to me, it's one of two people. It's Cole Sands or it's Joe Ryan. But as of like 8:30ish last night, 8:45, Joe Ryan had not been told that he is starting tonight. Right. So if he was told, it was sometime after about 8:45 last night.
Interesting stuff. Randy Dobnik has apparently fallen off the face of the earth. What can you tell us about a guy who, got a decent contract from the Twins a year ago, was expected to be in the rotation, had an injury in spring training, and now we have not heard too much about in 2022, really.
Yeah, I mean, not a new injury. It's that fingernail, that finger. In fact, I did a Zoom with Randy. It was either right when the lockout ended or like a day or two before. You can find it via Google. So via Zoom, he put his finger up to the camera, and he showed what was going on, and it was all bruised and all just it was messed up. But he said he was able to fight through it. That he felt some pain, but he was throwing some bullpens at home in West Virginia, but he felt like he was in a good spot. But then he heads down to Fort Myers. It flares up even more so. They end up putting him on the 60-day injured list. So a couple weeks ago, he's down in Fort Myers rehabbing. He's fine. He's throwing bullpen sessions. He was this close. I guess me, putting my fingers very close together works for the YouTube audience, doesn't really work for the audio audience.
I think they sort of know, though, right? Like
he was
like,
super close to going out on a rehab assignment. Like he
Yep.
was another bullpen session away. If that went well, then he was heading out on a rehab assignment. May have just stayed in Fort Myers pitching for the team down there. But he was ready to get back into a game. Then
Sure.
all of a sudden, setback. Another setback. It's not good. It's going to be a while. I can't give you a firm timetable, but any plans of seeing Randy Dobnik anytime soon, just it's not going to happen.
Interesting. So I'm going to put you on the spot because I heard this reported during the Twins game on CCO on Sunday, and I'm curious. I guess that the Twins are saying that Miguel Sano is going to probably be set to rehab starting in a couple of weeks and go out on an assignment. One, I'm curious how long they're going to try and make that, Doogie. And two, just flat out, I guess my question is this. When he is set to go, is there sort of a plan here? Because I don't really know where he fits in. And it seems like, with Kirilloff and AAA tearing it up, Larnick's been great here. Kepler's coming back from not being able to play. Arise has to play. I mean, hell, he's been fantastic. What is the ultimate plan for Miguel Sano for 2022 when he is prepared to play in the big leagues, I guess, if that is an accurate way to put it?
Yeah, so he's progressing well with, it's the knee. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? I should have that in my notes here.
It's the knee.
The knee.
It's the knee.
He's progressing well. It was always mid to late June, so we're here on June 7th. So yes, him heading out on a rehab assignment 2-ish weeks from now, June 20th, June 21st. That fits the time frame. I still think Judd, he can fit in against lefty pitchers, maybe just lefty pitchers, but you can start him against lefty pitchers. But you're right, Luis Arraez leads Major League Baseball in on-base percentage. You're not effing with that. I mean, let's just think through some of these roster moves. Now, all of a sudden, Jose Miranda is coming around. But I guess you can send him down if you need to. Nick Gordon, you have to expose him to waivers. I think some team probably picks him up, but is that big of a deal? Although
they're not going to, I don't think.
He's been a little bit better offensively the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much defensively, but offensively a little bit. It's picked up a little bit. But I guess if you need to expose Nick Gordon to waivers, so be it. We know that Palacios is going back to St. Paul when you need to activate Carlos Correa, which should be sometime this week, not necessarily today. In fact, I don't even know if he's ready to come off today with the 2 negative tests and all that, but soon. So that's one move. You've got Contreras, the outfielder. He'll go back when you need to activate somebody else.
He went back, right?
Well, did he officially go back when Kepler was activated?
I thought he officially went back yesterday.
That was always going to happen.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's a good problem, I suppose, if you're Derek and Thad. But trying to manipulate the roster even more so, trying to fit all these pieces in. But I'm just saying, I think you can still send Miranda back down when you need to. You can send Nick Gordon through waivers if you need to. I don't know if they'll do that, but I'm saying I would probably do that. We'll get an update later today on Royce Lewis.
I was going to ask
We'll tell you, a little bit of crickets. Like I checked with some people, and, it was his birthday earlier this week. And I sent out some notes, hey, be sure to pass along to Royce, happy birthday. Hey, did he get that second MRI when the swelling, went down? Has the swelling gone down to a point of him being able to undergo a second MRI? What's going on with the scar tissue in that knee? And I got some thumbs up on wish him a happy birthday. I never got any words back on where he's at knee-wise. So, I don't know. I know I've said this many times. I'm supposed to have all the answers here on this segment. Don't necessarily have a firm answer on where Royce is at. Rocco will give us an update later today. We'll decide if we take it at face value or not. But we will get some sort of update on Royce later today. But just interesting that nobody definitively got back to me to say, hey, he's doing great. MRI, second MRI went fine. Whatever. I didn't get any of that, just so you know.
All right, and Viking Scoops, they start what's going to be, I guess, a 2-day camp today to conclude their springtime workouts. They're going to take Thursday, which is a day that they could practice and do some team building exercises. But what do we know, just scoopage-wise, about the Vikings as they get set to head into their final break before training camp begins in late July?
I don't expect to see every player on the field. Well, certainly Amir Smith-Marset, he'll be okay for training camp, but you're not going to see him doing anything this week. I told you last week, Zadarius Smith, I was told, slept awkwardly, but I guess we'll have to keep an eye on him later this afternoon. There's something else going on. I think it's pretty minor. I don't even need to speculate on who the player is, but if you see a player off to the side, it's a minor injury. I'll leave it at that. But I don't think we're going to see, well, I know we're not going to see 100% participation, but, it's
Booth
not like they have.
Right?
What's that?
Booth is still out as well, right? Booth is not going to
coming back from
part.
still the sports hernia surgery. Yeah. Plus, he's still on some sort of insurance, liability waiver, because he still hasn't signed his contract. Now, he told me a couple weeks ago he's not concerned. I think they'll get it done right around training camp. Same with Ed Ingram. Same with Evans, the cornerback from Missouri. Those are the three unsigned rookies. I don't sense there's grave concern. Maybe there will be after the 4th of July, but I don't think those deals are getting done anytime real soon, but they should be done by whatever the first day of training camp will be, July 25th, July 26th. They have not officially announced the first day of training camp, but it'll be that week, that July 24th week. But otherwise, it's good times over there right now, until they lose a game.
Right.
But, it's not like they need to excuse anybody from mandatory minicamp. Remember, this week is mandatory, even though it'll have the same feel as the organized team activities. But the one difference is guys have to be there this week. So, I expect guys to be there. The question is, will every guy be out there on the field? And I don't think that will be the case.
Great stuff, sir. We will talk to you again on Thursday, okay?
You want me to empty out the figurative notebook? Although I jotted down a few things.
Sure, go ahead.
So I was with Chet Holmgren's parents the other day for a feature story that I'm working on before the draft. He'll visit Orlando next week. So there's a chance the Minneapolis native, the former Minnehaha Academy star, he's in that mix. The question is, will Orlando go Chet, combine him with his former high school teammate Jalen Suggs, or do they go with Jabari Smith from Auburn, or is there a chance they go with Paolo Banchero from Duke? Those three guys are going to go 1, 2, 3. We just don't know the order. Orlando pick 1, OKC pick 2, Houston pick 3. But I had a fun time catching up with Chet's mom and dad. There was an elementary school team he was on, Judd, that not only featured Jalen Suggs, but also featured Tyrell Terry, who played at De La Salle High School, then a high second-round pick of the Mavericks, finished the year with the Memphis Grizzlies. Think about that. Sixth
Hope that
grade.
team didn't lose.
Jalen Suggs, Chet Holmgren, Tyrell Terry.
Very nice.
Just off the charts. Then, just small world. Reed Travis, the Travis family, great athletic family in Minneapolis. They are really close with the Holmgrens. So they are going to be at the draft with the Holmgrens. So I had a blast over at their house in Minneapolis last week. So I wanted to get that out there. Jimmy Snuggerud, future Gopher. He just wrapped up the NHL Draft Combine, and he met with all the teams, so it's not like there's one team showing more interest than another, but I hope to connect with him pre-draft, the NHL Draft, right after the 4th of July?
Yep.
Or somewhere in that vicinity. The NBA Draft is a week and a half before the NHL Draft. Previous years, it was like the NBA Draft was on a Thursday, then the NHL Draft would be that Friday, Saturday. That's not the case this year, but Jimmy Snuggerud, Twin Cities native, will be the highest local kid to go. His draft range is 20-ish to 33, 34, 35. Then let me wish congratulations to Minneapolis native former Robbinsdale Armstrong high school wide receiver Thai Chikiao Bowman. His older brother played at Northwestern. You may remember him. He pursued a professional career. Don't know where his older brother is now, but Ty went to Independence Community College, one of the big JUCOs down in Kansas. He just signed with the Florida Gators this week. So he had a really good year, was not a big-time recruit coming out of Armstrong High School, but really had a good year at Independence Community College, really worked on his body, his route running. So pretty cool to land in the SEC with the Florida Gators. So that's pretty cool for a Twin Cities native.
All right, sir. Great stuff. Talk to you.
Okay, see you boys. Bye-bye.
Bye.